Well, actually, Elvis loved the song. That was when he and Priscilla were having their problems, which I met her recently, and she told me that Elvis loved that song, and he had sung that to her on the day of their divorce.
In fact, Elvis really liked the song. That's when he and Priscilla were having trouble. I recently met her, and she told me that Elvis loved that song and sang it to her on the day they were getting divorced. Fans of the legendary country singer Dolly Parton have been captivated by her singing and genuine warmth for decades. But behind that bright smile, there have been times of stress, betrayal, and well-known fights that didn't make the news. Have you ever thought, who did something to make Dolly mad? These 5 acts are said to not get along with Dolly, and here's why. But before we get into the story, it's helpful to know who Dolly is and why you shouldn't cross her. How Dolly became famous. I'm not really scared of them. Of course I'm the same as everyone else. I worked very hard. I was as poor as it gets, so I had everything to win and lose. She was born in a small one-room house in Pittman Center, Tennessee, on January 19, 1946. Her family was poor but friendly, and she was the 4th of 12 children. Lee was her father. He worked hard, and knew how to handle money well, but he couldn't read or write. Evie Lee was her mother, and she loved her kids very much. She told them stories and sang mountain songs. Dolly showed early on that she was good at music. By the time she was 10, she was singing on local TV and radio. When she was 13, she made her first song and sang at the Grand Ole Opry. Johnny Cash gave her a kiss on the cheek. When she was done with high school in 1964, she went to Nashville to follow her dreams. Before she became a singer, Dolly started out in Nashville writing songs for other artists. Dumb Blonde, her first hit, proved she wasn't just a pretty face. There was wit and skill in her. In 1967, country star Porter Wagoner asked her to be on his TV show, which made her famous all over the country. They made some hit songs together, but Dolly's career soon took off on her own. She wrote touching songs like Joshua, which was about a lonely mountain man, and Coat of Many Colors, which was based on a coat her mother made for her. Her songs stood out because they were honest and emotional accounts of real events in her life. A lot of people loved Dolly's solo work in the early 1970s, especially since I Will Always Love You was such a hit. Dolly kept working hard and had more hits, such as Jolene and Here You Come Again, which helped her move into pop music. Dolly wasn't just a great singer, though she was also a great actor. She was in the hit movie 9 to 5 with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin in the 1980s. Dolly wrote the movie's theme song, which went straight to the top of the charts. After that, she showed that she wasn't just a country star. She was a skilled performer, who could write, sing, act and connect with people all over the world. She was well known for more than just music, and she always found new ways to improve herself and help others. For her hometown of Pigeon Forge, Dolly opened Dollywood, a tourist park, in 1986. Dolly decided to give back to her community instead of spending her money on fancy things, like many other stars did. Dollywood made work available and brought more people to the Smoky Mountains. She never forgot where she came from, even though she was famous. She opened the Imagination Library, so that kids could get free books that would help them learn to read. Her success wasn't just due to how talented she was. It was about how kind she was, how determined she was, and how she could stay true to herself. Dolly stayed humble and focused on helping other people, even though she had done a lot. Dolly Parton became a world-famous person over time, not just a music star. She wrote a lot of songs, won a lot of Grammys, and was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. She had an effect on music outside of country music, because she joined the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dolly is known for being happy, but she is also a smart businessman, who always plans ahead. She was named one of the 100 most important people in the world by Time magazine. The New York Times called her one of the most loved divas in America. 3 times, the president gave her the Medal of Freedom, but she turned it down because she didn't want to mess with politics. Dolly has a lot more impact than just her songs and awards. She has made a huge change in the lives of millions of people through her charity work. More than 200 million books have been given to kids all over the world by her Imagination Library. Jeff Bezos gave her $100 million in 2022 to give to projects she cared about. The American Library Association has also given her an award, and made her a Kentucky Colonel. Rolling Stone named her one of the 200 best singers of all time, and an asteroid is named after her. Believing in yourself, being kind, and having skill, are some of the things that have made Dolly Parton a legend in music and beyond. Still, Dolly is a nice person, but she has limits. A few names have come up over and over again. People who tried to control her didn't believe in her, or tried to take credit for the hard work she had done. Dolly may smile for the cameras, but she remembers. There have been quiet fights, hurt feelings, and deep losses going on behind the scenes. The first and most difficult was with the man who helped her start her business, and then tried to be in charge of it. When Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner broke up, it was one of the most exciting stories in the history of country music. What did really happen? There's Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner. It wasn't long ago that Dolly Parton was the newest singer on the Porter Wagoner Show, which is one of the most popular country music shows in the United States. By the late 1960s, Porter Wagoner was a renowned country singer. As a singer, he was known for his fancy rhinestone suits, big personality, and smooth voice. But he was also a showman. Porter could make or break lives with his hit TV show that millions of people watched, and when he saw the young singer Dolly Parton from East Tennessee, he saw something very special. As Porter's singing partner, Norma Jean, left his show in 1967, Dolly came on instead. Not everyone liked the change at first. Some Porter fans liked the old singer better than this new girl with the big hair and sweet smile. Dolly didn't let that stop her though. She kept singing from the bottom of her heart, with style, ability, and determination. The crowd soon came around. Across the country, people loved her singing, her charm, and how friendly she was. Dolly and Porter looked great together on stage. Their sounds went well together, and the way they interacted lit up the screen. Their melodies made people fall in love, and their stage banter made the room buzz. Fans saw them as more than just songwriting partners. They never said they were dating. They had more than a dozen top 10 hits between them. Behind the scenes, the music sounded great, but things weren't always so easy. Dolly and Porter may have looked like they had a great time together on stage, but behind the scenes, it was getting harder for them to stay together. Porter was a country music star from the past. He liked being in charge and thought he was the one helping Dolly get ahead. But Dolly had her own big hopes and dreams. She started to feel stuck as her star kept rising. Dolly stayed for years because she was thankful for the help Porter had given her. But as her career grew, she wanted to be free to choose her own songs and sing the ones that spoke to her deeply. She started writing songs that weren't quite like the ones Porter and Dolly were known for. They wanted to be free, not just to make things, and to be seen as equals. After the fact, Dolly said that one of the main issues was that Porter didn't quite see her as a partner. He gave her a stage at one point, but it felt like a cage as time went on. She didn't leave right away though. He was important to her, and she knew how much he had helped her. But by 1973, the threat was too great to ignore. Dolly made the hardest choice of her career in 1974. Porter was told to leave the show. She didn't just say the words, she sang them because she was ready to go it alone. She sang a song she had written just for Porter while sitting down in his office. I love you always. She meant to say both thank you and goodbye at the same time. While everyone in the room was moved to tears and touched by Porter's words, he wasn't ready to let her go without a fight. The loss of Dolly caused a slow building anger. Porter felt betrayed and said he should be paid because he helped her get ahead in her job. He shocked everyone in the business when he sued her for $3 million 5 years after she left. He said she broke the contract and wanted a cut of her pay for life. The case brought their fight into the open, which hurt their once great reputation as a team. The case was finally solved without going to court. When asked about Porter's first $1 million, Dolly said, "It took me a long time to pay it off, but I did what I thought was right." She became a world icon, an actress, a businesswoman, and one of the most loved people in music, and her success went through the roof. Still, that case stayed with them for years. Then time did what it always does. It made old scars feel better. There was talk between them again in the late 1980s. Dolly said she loved Porter all the time, even when she was mad at him. They went to events together, and even made more songs together. Dolly took the stage to induct Porter into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2002. This was the time that made them get back together for good. Her words came from the heart, and were very kind. Porter was her teacher, her friend, and a part of her heart. When Porter Wagoner got lung cancer, and got really sick in 2007, Dolly didn't think twice. She went to the hospital to see him. Porter died just a few weeks after that. Dolly was very sad. She held a quiet concert at Dollywood to remember him. For the man who had been so important to her early career, not for the press or for attention. Dolly never forgot what he had done for her. Even though they had problems and fights, it had never been easy for them to get along. It was like oil and water, Dolly said at one point. They had many fights, but they cared deeply about each other. Anger and strong loyalty were both present. That event changed Dolly's life and job for good. There were good times and bad times. With Porter, they taught her how to stand up for herself, follow her path, and still be graceful. Things were already tricky with Porter, but the next person on Dolly's list caused a different kind of problem. Someone may have tried to steal one of her favorite songs by Elvis Presley and Dolly Parton. They met in the early 1970s, and that was the start of their relationship, with a strong love for the song I Will Always Love You. Elvis heard the song, and was deeply touched by how deeply it made him feel via its lyrics. He was moved by the song so much that Dolly says he sang it to his soon-to-be ex-wife Priscilla alone, while they were getting a divorce. That moment gave the song even more meaning, and showed that its message of love and letting go could move even the busiest people. Dolly was shocked when she heard that Elvis wanted to record her song. She looked up to him as a child. He was the king of rock and roll, and she had looked up to him since she was a kid. It was really exciting to think that someone like Elvis liked her songs, and wanted to make them his own. It seemed like a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and a big honor. Dolly thought it was going to be one of her best dreams come true, but that dream didn't last long. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's strong and controversial boss, made a demand that could not be met before any recording could take place. Elvis wouldn't record the song until he and Presley got at least half of the copyright rights. Parker did this all the time. He would often force songwriters to give up their rights in exchange for the fame that came with an Elvis performance. For many this was what recognition cost. Dolly Parton, on the other hand, couldn't stand it. Parton was still making a name for herself in the music business at the time. Keeping her publishing rights meant she could continue to work as a singer and businesswoman, which was something not many women in country music had been able to do. Still, the choice had a huge impact on how they felt. It felt like a sin to turn down Elvis. Parton later said that she was so upset that she cried all night as the truth hit her. She turned down a chance that most artists would have jumped at. Some people also think that Parton's choice may have been based on greater worries. In the business world, Colonel Parker did not have a good image. Many people in the art world saw him as a shady person who often put his own needs ahead of those of the artists he handled. Parton is smart and intuitive, so she may have known that any deal with Parker would have long-term effects she didn't want to deal with. Her refusal was painful at the time, but it was the smart thing to do in the end. After almost 20 years, Whitney Houston recorded Will Always Love You for the Bodyguard album. Her version went viral around the world, breaking sales records and winning a lot of awards. Due to the royalties, Dolly became one of the wealthiest songwriters in history since she kept all of the writing rights. People think she made tens of millions of dollars from that one song. If she had given in to Parker's requests, she would have lost that money. The sadness of losing Elvis's version turned out to be a sign of Parton's strength, integrity and vision. It's still one of the most interesting what-if stories in popular music. What would Elvis's version of the song have sounded like? What kind of marks might it have left? No one will ever know, but because Dolly Parton wouldn't give up her song, we now know what an artist looks like when she stands her ground and wins. The next person on our list said something that shocked everyone, not just Dolly. It was even stranger because she was meant to be her friend. They are Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt and Dolly Parton were two of the most loved singers of their time. In terms of music, they both came from very different places,
and had strong personalities and styles. The Tennessee-born country music star Dolly was known for her quick wit, sparkle, and unstoppable drive. Linda was an Arizonan folk rock singer who was known for her emotional and exact singing. She was very thoughtful and paid close attention to details. Together with their close friend Emmylou Harris, they made the band Trio. Their sounds blended together like magic. People loved the record and couldn't wait for more. There was trouble between Dolly and Linda behind the scenes though, which many people didn't see. Different places and ways. Dolly liked to get things done quickly. She had a lot going on, writing songs, making records, acting in movies, and running her own companies. She was sure of herself when she went into the studio and did her parts. She thought she would be moving on afterward. On the other hand, Linda used the studio like a lab. Her goals were for everything to be ideal. She would record a note over and over again if it didn't sound right. Everything was important to her. The breath, the tone, the time. She wasn't in a hurry. She thought that patience was needed for good art. For Dolly, this was taking too long and was annoying. She joked that Linda was a pain because she was so picky about every take. The way Dolly acts could make Linda think that she is careless or even rude. She didn't like it when Dolly would not show up for singing sessions. She thought that everyone had to give it their all if they were going to work together. These two women were both very talented, but they were made in very different ways. One moved based on her gut and heart, while the other moved carefully and with focus. These differences started to push them apart as they worked on Trio 2. The record kept getting pushed back. Dolly wanted to push the release date even further so that she could get more people to see it. It had been too long for Linda to wait though. She was sick of having to wait for arguments, delays, and missed appointments. A lot of people were shocked when she used some of the songs from the project for her record, Feels Like Home, without Dolly's vocals. This really hurt Dolly. For her it felt like being let down. She had put a lot of time and effort into those songs, but now they were being released without her. She didn't know why Linda couldn't wait a little longer. Linda thought it was about getting ahead. It wasn't personal to her. She just saw it as useful. But Dolly, who cares most about honor and loyalty, took it to heart. The space between them grew over time. It became more of a drag for them to work together, which had once been fun and exciting. Linda started having major health problems, like Parkinson's disease, which made it impossible for her to sing anymore. They never got into a big fight in public, but the stress between them never went away. Dolly's relationship with Porter Wagner got better over time, but her relationship with Linda seemed to slowly end. Even though they had differences sometimes, both women had a lot of respect for each other's skills. Linda often told Dolly that she had one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, and Dolly told Linda that she was a creative superpower. When it came to writing songs, they knew that something truly magical happened when they joined their sounds, something that didn't happen very often. Both artists were very dedicated, and had high standards, and their desire to be great sometimes got in the way of their work. There were times when their different ways of being creative made things tense, but they respected each other and wanted to make something important and long-lasting. When they worked together, it was both brilliant and difficult. There were beautiful and difficult creative sparks flying between them. There was Dolly Parton and Howard Stern. I don't mean to blow smoke up your behind. You look fucking great. I love arguing. Also, you've never. Howard Stern's radio show is known for having crazy and shocking guests. In order to be funny, he often goes too far, and his fans are used to that. But he said something bad about Dolly Parton in 2008 that made a lot of people angry. A lot of people thought he went too far. People love Dolly Parton for more than just her beautiful voice and songs. They also love her for being kind, funny and humble. People know her for her quick wit and big smile. She laughs a lot even when people insult her or ask her rude questions, but it hurt her when Howard Stern talked badly about her. People like Dolly can only take so much, and this time she had had enough. At the time, Dolly had just put out an audiobook version of her autobiography, My Life and Other Unfinished Business. In it she told the truth about her life, work and struggles. It had a lot of heart. She is smart and has a southern charm that people love. Stern, on the other hand, used editing tools to change audio clips from the book. He changed the order of her words and added new ones using her voice. making it sound like she was saying horrible racist things and bad things about other artists, like her real-life friend Linda Ronstadt. It was clear to Dolly fans that this was fake, but it was still shocking and sad. Dolly had spent her whole life helping people and being nice to them. She never said mean things about other artists, and she never used hateful language. It broke my heart to hear her voice change into something so awful. Dolly was very upset when she found out. She didn't joke about it or brush it off like she usually does. She was really hurt. She made a strong message when she was very angry in public. She said she had never been so shocked, hurt and ashamed in all her life. Dolly was shocked by what Howard Stern did to her, and she said that she would never ever say something so rude or wrong again. She thought that her voice had been changed or edited in some way to make something horrible and insulting. She didn't think this was a joke. Something bad was said about her, her beliefs, and everything she fought for. She then said that if there was ever going to be a case, it would be this one. It was a big deal. Dolly rarely said she would go to court, which showed how serious the problem was for her. But Howard Stern didn't seem to care much about how she felt. He laughed it off and said it was a joke, something funny that wasn't meant to be taken seriously. That part is silly. He said on his show that it's a spoof, and that it's really funny. He later said that the fact that Dolly knew who he was made him feel good. Fans of Dolly weren't laughing though. A lot of people thought Howard Stern went too far. If you were joking about famous people, that was one thing, but pretending to say mean things and making it sound like Dolly said them was terrible, especially since Dolly is known for being kind and honest. Even so, Dolly didn't go to court. It's possible that she didn't want to stir up more trouble, or didn't think it was important to get Stern more attention. She probably took the high road because that's what she's known for. She kept quiet in public, but it was clear she still remembered what happened, and the thought of her doing another interview with Howard Stern, almost impossible. Stern thought the whole thing was funny, but for Dolly it was personal and hurt very much. They didn't talk to each other again after that 2008 event. He was never criticized by Dolly in public. She wasn't upset when she went on talk shows. She let her friends speak for her instead. People thought about what happened for years afterward. It was brought up every time Stern and Dolly were talked about together. Then something that no one saw coming happened. Everything was a surprise when Dolly first went on the Howard Stern show in 2023. Fans were shocked because it had been 15 years since the tragedy. Why did she leave? She was running ads for Rockstar, her bold new rock record. Now more than ever was the time to try something new and reach new people. Stern was surprisingly polite during the conversation. He was very nice to her, and didn't say anything mean. He called her a legend and praised her singing and energy. It was clear that Dolly wouldn't have been there if she didn't have something important to sell. As it was, the tension was hard to miss, but in typical Dolly style, she showed her poise, maturity and freedom to move on her own terms. This turned a painful past event into a moment of quiet strength. They are Dolly Parton and Jeff Tweedy. I adore Dolly Parton. I only know that she wrote to Jolene and me. She said I will always love you on the same day, and I think she should have stopped after Jolene. Jeff Tweedy, lead singer of the band Wilco, made a fuss when he said some bad things about the songs that Dolly Parton wrote. Even though he agreed that she was an important part of music history, he didn't believe her songs were very deep. Not only did he say that her songs had catchy tunes, but he also said that she should have quit writing after Jolene. He told her he didn't dislike her though. His words make it sound like he doesn't care about how hard Dolly works on her songs. Many people were shocked that Tweedy would be so openly critical of someone like Dolly, because he is known for making music that makes people feel deep emotions and think deeply. Reports say Dolly wasn't happy about the words, but she didn't say anything in public. All of her songs are based on her own feelings and experiences, and she's always been proud of writing from the heart. It must have hurt a little to hear another artist criticize her work, but Dolly didn't say anything back. The work she did and her fans spoke for her. Stars from all over the world have sung her songs, which have been loved for decades. Dolly Parton is still one of the most recognized and loved people in music, even though some critics say her music isn't very good. Which of these fights caught you by surprise the most? Leave your thoughts in the box below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our station for more exciting celebrity news.